It's Underground. It's the season finale, and we got some soldiers and a special guest, so stay tuned right here.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey.
This is the kind of song that you play when you're battling with whether you want to like go with the good person on this shoulder or listen to the bad person on that shoulder.
I was thinking this is the song you listen to when you're like, I don't want to get up and go to the gym, or I don't want to get up and go run, but I'm about to go kill these 5 miles.
Hey guys.
What's going on, y'all? Franceli Chapman here. I'll be leading hosting tonight. Elayna is not with us tonight, sadly, but me and Elayna are holding it down. You can catch me at all things at Celly Hangout. Make sure to hang out with me right there.
Hey, it's Elayna. You can follow me on all social platforms at HAY_it's
Yeah. And tonight, before we get into this incredible season finale, because it was just off the chain, my blood pressure was on a whole other level. My stomach was in knots. I was doing backflips in my mind.
I was kind of like excited the whole time. Like Franceli was having this, like she was like, oh my God, oh, and I was just staring at the screen like, oh, this is good.
It was a lot. But
before we get into that,
before we get into all that, we have a super special guest. I'm really excited. Karyn Wagner is going to be with us via Skype, and she is the costume designer of Underground.
Yeah.
So excited.
They look great this season.
Oh my God.
So I guess we have Karyn to thank for that.
Yeah, shout out to Karyn.
Hi, Karyn.
You really stepped it up a whole other notch on season 2.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure and a huge responsibility. So I really appreciate that.
So a fun fact, one of your film breakthrough that you did for costume designing was Eve's Bayou.
And the Notebook.
And the Notebook. Oh, I love the Notebook. I'm in love with the Notebook. But Eve's Bayou is what I thought about the special connection, because Journey was in that movie when she was 10 years old. And then literally, 20 years later?
Wow.
Yes.
You're working with her again. Like, how does life, isn't that like, how do you feel when things like that happen? Is that like God's nugget to tell you, like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be?
Well, you know, I really loved working with Journey as a child, and I just always somehow knew we'd connect again because she's such a special person. So when I went into the interview and heard that she was going to be starring, I almost wanted to cry a little bit. I was just so excited to be working with her again. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. It's one of those things where just like, kismet, right? It's like when certain spirits just come together, and she just seems like that kind of person. I haven't met her yet, but I mean, her acting ability through the screen just speaks to me. Like, I'm just like, oh my God.
She's got such a huge heart, you can't even imagine. She loves on everybody. She's tired, she's hungry, she's muddy, she's wet. We've covered her in blood and God knows what, and she's just like, hey, you want to do another take? Let's go. You know, like, you can't possibly lose an iota of inspiration or energy or anything around her. She just has so much to give to everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole cast is really like that. It's been such a pleasure.
Before we get into the entire cast, with the Journey specifically, we know that she was actually pregnant while filming a lot of these scenes.
True story.
So what kind of special things did you have to do to accommodate her pregnancy? Because a lot of us didn't know that she was actually like carrying until it was revealed in the show.
That was the whole point. Yeah, it was the whole point, was to make clothes that hid her pregnancy, so that when you got the reveal, you'd be like, oh my God, where did she get that? Was she like hiding that in the back somewhere through all those scenes? Like, did she just put that on? Like, where did that come from? So it was this whole journey of no pun intended, of designing these clothes that would be drapey enough to hide that and yet look like it wasn't draping, if that makes any sense.
It does.
One of the things that I love about having folks on the show that aren't necessarily like the actors or the directors, you know, like as an actor, you go to acting school and you go to auditions and you just keep pounding the pavement to become successful. But it's like, what does it take to be a costume designer on a hit movie like The Notebook or on a show like Underground? Like, what are the steps? How do we get there? Because I know there's kids, like I have a cousin that went to fashion school and then they graduate and they have no idea how to place themselves in the world. Right. So Karyn, talk to us about your journey. How did you get here?
You know, I can't emphasize enough that it's really about hard work, faith in yourself, belief that you can be whatever you want to be, and just putting in the work and the time and not being afraid to knock on doors and not being afraid to ask. And then, you know, when you're given the opportunity to prove yourself, to just really just do what it takes to get the job done. Ask questions, think things through, you know, but I think the biggest thing is that you have to have that faith in yourself and know that you're where you need to be and that you're doing the right thing for yourself. You always have to follow your heart in life, whatever it is you want to be. So there's no hard and fast rule to becoming a costume designer or getting into the film business. It's just seeking opportunity and then seizing it once it's given to you.
Karyn, we have someone in the chat room, Tink Love Music, who wants to know what inspired Patty's look, especially with the hats.
Oh yeah, those hats were dope.
Patty, well, there's a lot of dialogue. You know, Joe and Misha thankfully gave me some clues on where to start with Patty Cannon. And in that line of dialogue, she says that she's the daughter of a whore and and nobility, or something to that effect. I hope I'm not misquoting them. And so I sort of took a little bit of each. You know, she knows how to work men. Her mother clearly taught her that, and she uses that. But she also wants everybody to know that she's from this aristocratic background. So she dresses in this combination of, you know, very practical clothes. Like, you know, she wears kind of pants, bifurcated skirts, they were called at the time. She wears these pants so she can ride astride, which women did not do. It was very improper at the time. So she wants to show the men that she leads that she's as tough as any of them. So she rides astride, but then her vest will be a beautiful silk. Now, the other thing I did with her is there was just a very newly invented dye right in the 1850s, right at this time, and it was called Paris green, and it was poisonous. What set the dye was poisonous. So I dressed her partially because the actress Sadie looks great in green, but also because I wanted to hint that maybe a little bit of her craziness came from this dye that she wears all the time.
Interesting.
The poisonous, like
I would have never known anything about the poison, anything about that shaping her look, not even a little bit.
That's so awesome that you put that kind of attention and detail to things, you know, like that just shows how much you care and love what you do. That's beautiful.
And Karyn, I know when we met, we talked about styling in favor of the Caribbean aspect that joined us for season 2. So for our viewers watching, can you get a little bit into how was it bringing those colors into such a show that's so black and white?
Also, no pun intended.
Right. Right.
So what I really wanted to achieve with that look was the difference between the plantation in Georgia, which we saw last year, and this plantation in South Carolina, where the enslaved people are left much more to their own ability to carry on their own culture. The whites had, or the plantation owners had moved away. Excuse me. Let me back up a little bit. The new plantation is set in a much more water-based culture. They're growing rice there, and there's a lot of mosquitoes there, and the Africans had brought a lot of blood-based mosquito transferable diseases. So when they came and the mosquitoes started biting the slave owners, they were dying because they were not immune to this, as many of the Africans were. So they moved to Charleston, leaving these plantations on their own. which meant that they could hang on to a lot more of their own traditions and self-govern a lot more than the enslaved on, say, the Macon plantation. So I showed that by using these brighter colors and some of the prints that were prevalent in Africa at that time, the Dutch wax prints and these beautiful fabrics that were coming in from India, all the dyes that were new to that time. And there was a certain, I felt that even though they were enslaved, and some of what we see in that culture is, you know, it's not all happy times, but I wanted this underlying exuberance to them being able to hold on to their own culture.
Yeah. That's really awesome. So, I mean, I know that I kind of asked that question before, but it didn't go that deep. So I'm happy that you kind of...
Yeah, there were so many people around. I was like, well, she doesn't really want to talk to me. She must keep this answer very short.
That's how I thought about the questions. Well, we definitely want to get into this finale episode.
Yes.
That we're going to get into. So is there anything special that you had to cook up with so much fire and the blood and Journey giving birth, Rosalie giving birth?
Right. That was crazy. I was like, oh my God.
Nuts? It wasn't that nuts. Yeah, I just watched the episode 2 and I was like, wow, this is powerful stuff.
Good.
Do you get to, are you on set or you just create the looks for them and then kind of make sure that wardrobe fits, but you're not there for the entire shoot? How does that work?
It depends on the show. On Underground, I was so busy creating so much, I didn't get to go to set nearly as much as I would like. So I try to go, you know, at the top of the scene to make sure everything looks right. But so often I wasn't even able to do that, and I was just, you know, like sort of caged into my office drawing and cutting swatches.
So you get to enjoy the episode like the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. I'm so sorry that the season's over because it's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah,
right
I'm feeling really sad right now.
It was great chatting with you again.
Yes,
Thank you
Kay.
so much.
Tell us what you're working on now. I heard you're working on a new show.
I am. I'm working on a show called Waco, which is about what happened with David Koresh and in 1993, and it's every bit as socially important as Underground in different ways. But it's so I'm so grateful to be working on Waco and to have worked on Underground in this political situation and climate that we're in now. It's so important to be true to who you are and what you are and fight for what is right. I can't stress that enough. We have all got to stick together and resist.
Come on, Karyn.
Right.
Yes. That's how you wrap that thing up. Karyn, tell the folks how they can follow your journey, where they can watch Waco. If there's Waco, is there somewhere they can follow you on social media and all that good stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook, but I do a lot of posting on oh my God, what's it called? The place with all the pictures.
Instagram.
Thank you. Instagram, ladies, you rock. Yes, I try and post every day on Instagram something about what I'm doing.
So what's your name on Instagram so folks can follow you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Karyn Wagner. Karyn Wagner. Wagner.
Beautiful. Well, you guys follow her. Make sure you watch Waco when it comes out. And thank you so much, Karyn, for hanging out with us. We really, really enjoyed chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, ladies. It was really an honor.
Take care. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Whoa.
That was awesome.
No, I mean, I feel like she just took us deep, and now I'm trying to reprocess my thoughts for the finale.
Right.
Like, I just don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling.
Let's get right into it because we only got so much time. I'm sure the live chat is blowing up. Bring up the live chat so I can talk to the people too. But Soldier. Yeah. It starts off with Harriet Tubman chilling in the cabin, and one of the Secret Six comes to pay her a visit, knocking on the door. And I love Underground's Twitter because they give you so much information and they tell you exactly who these people are. Because at first I'm like, who are the Secret Six? Like, who are these people? And they were a group of abolitionists who supported John Brown's movement and actually offered financial support. And they actually give all the names of the Secret Six. So if you're not following Underground WGN on Twitter, get there now. And So they pay him a visit. I mean, they pay Harriet Tubman a visit, and they propose the Harper's Ferry, the proposition about making this be the place that really starts the revolution. And this actually really happened.
Yeah.
The Harper's Ferry raid happened in 1859. But Harriet's disposition about it, you know, it's risky, it's bold, but she's like, I'm with it. Like, let's do this, you know? But what she wasn't expecting was for them to say, well, we want you to lead the charge.
Yeah. I think that took all of us by surprise a little bit, because we're like on the same page with her. Like, okay, it is bold, it is risky, but we know that it still can work.
Right.
But then when he hit us with we want you to actually lead the raid, it's like,
whoa, hold on a minute.
We didn't discuss that part.
Right.
Like, I don't, like, you can see it written on her face. And what's so interesting about that scene is when he told her that they wanted her to lead the raid, I automatically went back to the scene with her praying in the church. Do you guys remember when she was praying in the church and she was basically speaking out her fears and her doubts and some of the things that she was going through?
Right.
So when
she said, I don't know if I could lead.
She talked about being in this position of leading and being on the forefront and not knowing if she could actually be successful at it.
Right.
So as soon as he said that we want you to lead the raid, like, I just saw that flash of her in the church expressing all of that.
And Aisha Hines, she's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Her eyes, it's almost like you could taste the slight fear in her eyes, because it's like, literally, it's like her prayers, they were heard, and it's like her fear was manifested in a particular way, and now she has to face them and conquer this giant. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was so good.
Then we left off last week with Daniel showing up to Georgia's house.
Right.
So now Daniel's at the table. He has a seat at the table. Everyone's there listening to his story. We finally get to hear how they did this to him.
With the lie.
Oh,
you know what's so great about how he was introduced? Around the same time that one of the Secret Six, was talking to Harriet, we found out that they were these abolitionists, and Daniel is literally telling us that when he started reading, this was the word that he was reading. He learned how to spell it. He started realizing that there were people who were actually helping the slaves, who were on that side. So we kind of got it from two perspectives. We got one of the Secret Six, a part of the group, saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. We wanted to bring you in.
Right.
And then we had Daniel's perspective, who was a slave, who didn't know how to read, who taught himself to get closer. So, yeah.
The crazy thing about it is that when he's drawing words on the table, he actually drew the word free.
Yeah.
It was so poetic. And I mean, the writers, the direction, Anthony Boots, well, Shiny Boots is his name on Twitter, but Anthony Hemingway, he's just, they're all just so dope. But how Elizabeth just went off after hearing Daniel's story, like, I feel like she just went ape. Like, she was like, revolt, revolution, let's do it,
Elizabeth was ready to blow everybody
Come on.
up.
I was just like, oh my God.
She had she had no more chill left in her. She heard Daniel's story. She found out about the baby. She found out about his family. And she was like, listen, when we go fight for him, let's act like we're fighting for everyone, because we are.
Yes.
And even when Noah spoke up for that, I was like, yeah, because we are.
Listen, I literally shouted. I was like, come on, Noah. I was having like this whole thing, because it was so intense. And he was like so quiet, just in his corner, you know, that acting is reacting. And he was just sitting there. And then he didn't say much. He said one line, but it was just so powerful. Like, if we ain't gonna do this for a good man, then why are we doing this?
Yeah. And I think that's what lit Elizabeth's fire.
Right.
Because that finally connected for her, and to see her grow into this person who has that type of attitude, who has that type of perspective, it's like, heck yeah, we need to go blow everything up, because we need to save this guy. And then the fact that Daniel got there, and we saw his journey last episode of him traveling to Georgia's house, and the fact that he was touching everything. He's blind, so we felt that that really pulled our heartstrings. So I was right next to Elizabeth with that one.
Can we talk about, I don't know whether to hate or love Cato.
Are we going to talk about Cato? Carmen in the chat room said that she wished Harriet would have went off on him, and I was waiting for that moment. I was waiting for her to just call him out and kind of go head to head with him. I told y'all from the very beginning.
Listen, Cato is dark, twisted. like, okay, obviously we know what happens at the end, but at the very top when we see him again and he's on that bed and I see the redhead, I was like, wait a minute. Is he sleeping with Patty? And then I'm like, what? And then when we see it's not the real Patty, but I'm just like, what is his obsession, this dark, twisted obsession with Patty? Like, I didn't know what he was up to. I mean, we found out later, but like in that very moment, like my blood pressure was on a trillion. Like I was just ready. And then he talks about wanting to be a legend, and I'm like,
Kato is trash.
Kato is he's just smelling his own.
Kato, and he's not all trash. He's just very trash for power. Like
ego,
he's so power hungry that no matter what he has in his heart or how good he tries to be,
right,
the hunger for power always brings him down.
Always.
He feeds that power hungry monster inside of him opposed to anything else. And I thought, like, when we saw Kato this episode, I thought that, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe everyone, when we saw that he tricked Patty and he killed her, I was like, okay, now he's going to go help his friend Jamaican and save them. And no, he flipped the script and was like, I want the power. Like, I already got a new Patty. And I'm just like, seriously, Kato?
Like, he's just too much for my life. I can't even deal. So let's move on. August goes back to his home with Ernestine.
Yeah.
At first I couldn't figure out why. Like, why did we get here? Why are we here? And we see the grave of his wife and his slave. And so Ernestine gets him high on her own supply and then goes running. Let me tell you, I live for Black Twitter and I live for the internet with these memes of Forrest Gump and saying, run, Ernestine, run. I just couldn't.
What was so beautiful, though, I don't even think that many people realize that both of them got to go home this episode.
Yes.
Like, they've connected on a different level last episode. And when she was running, like, I'm pretty sure we all thought that she was trying to run away from him. Like, damn, I thought y'all connected. What happened?
Yeah.
But when she heard his footsteps and she didn't move, I was like, she wasn't running from him. She was running to her babies.
Right. She was running to the Macon plantation. And I didn't put those two together until she's standing there. And it's just like, oh, there's nothing here. What do we do now? Like, this whole journey was about bringing her back there. And I was just like, man.
And all I keep thinking, all I keep hearing, I know we'll get to James later, but all I keep hearing when she got to Macon and realized it was all burnt down, I just kept hearing James saying, we're never going to see Mama again, are we? Ooh. And I'm just like, and when he said that the world was big, and I'm like, yeah, the world is big, especially when you don't have access to like a cell phone. You can't call and say, hey, I'm here. You really don't know where they are. You just have to keep roaming until you bump into them.
But that's the beautiful thing about traveling, which is why I'm always telling people, like, stop spending your money on bottles at the club, or spend your money on trips, because when him getting on that train and finally seeing the world outside of the Macon plantation, you do realize how much bigger the world is outside of what you know. And it just makes you look at life so differently. And Rosalie, that moment with James was just so beautiful. And it felt like she really told him who they really are, who their identity is really rooted in, and the values of, their strength, and where they, like, the cloth that they're cut from. Like, I was just like, word, you cut from Ernestine's cloth. You cut from good, because it's like, we've seen her resilience. We see what she comes from. So it's like, her kids are the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So they're going to be resilient as well. So that was super, super awesome.
Interestingly enough about her children, though, like, I saw a lot of Rosalie and James this episode, and I kept saying, wow, because we already knew that he was this big, he was this big kid. He was a smart kid. He was kind of putting things together. We knew that. But this episode, you see him feeding off of Rosalie's strength. Like, at this point, that's all he has. That's all he knows. And it's not being fought with, like, what do you call it when you go pit for pit? Like, rejection or animosity.
Eye for an eye.
I don't know. He's just not. He's not retaliating.
Right.
He's really soaking it in, and he's being wise. Like I felt like he was the big brother this episode.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they were on the same page, and for him to be so young, that was just really, like, it was so beautiful. Like, he stepped up in major ways.
Oh, for sure. I want to give a special shout out to Mrs. Chris Brown on the chat, saying, I hope he stays true to his speech on his balcony and turns the tables next season. IDK, why I always have hope for him in terms of Kato. And to be honest, what I'm thinking is, I'm skipping, but that's fine. We can do that. that Kato is taking over Patty's gang, but that he's gonna be an infamous slave catcher, but exactly what he was doing when he had his mansion, that he was catching people, but he sent them to Canada and gave them freedom. Maybe that's what he's gonna do. But we shall see.
I'm not in favor of a prediction for Kato right now. Just let me get into this episode
let's
a little bit
keep
more.
living. All right, let's keep living for
Honestly, Kato could burn in the fire. See, I don't even know why you brought that back up.
Girl, we gonna have to pray for you.
Can I have my pen back or no?
Oh yes, I'm sorry, girl. So let's talk about, like you said, August and Ernestine really connected, but I love just the cinematography of the chase in the forest, how they're both battling demons, like the voices in their heads. Like I just had to bring that up because it was like, that was so good. But Noah and Rosalie finally talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Because I'm like, it's been a minute. You've been giving me the silent treatment. And so, you know, you getting ready to go save this man's family. I don't know if you coming back. So I gotta say something.
It was such a grown-up talk. It was such a grown-up, mature talk, like on both parts. Especially for those jabs that they threw.
Shade was there. There was some shade.
So I didn't know how they were gonna readdress each other this episode, but it was very adult-ish.
Oh,
like
super.
I felt like, and we talked about this, like those of you in the chat room last episode, I felt like we know that Rosalie needed to hear those things, and it definitely put her on the right path.
Oh, yeah.
Because this episode, she took responsibility. She was like, you know, she wasn't pressuring him. She wasn't thinking about herself no more. She got the reality check that she needed to be a woman, to be a mom, and to be a part of this family, and not just a part of her and her family. You know what I mean? So that was beautiful. Now, there's not much that I can say for Noah, because how can you argue with someone who's been so broken and his bond has been broke? Like, he's been betrayed. You know what I mean? So the fact that he's not ready, that he doesn't know if he can forgive, I can't be mad at him.
No,
because
for sure.
he was hurt.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, like, with anything in life, and it's easier said than done to let go and let God. Like, sometimes people need time, they need space, and you can't force someone to be ready when you think you're ready, or for them to move on when you're ready to move on. Like, people are different, and you just have to trust that if it's for you, it's for you. And I loved what she said. She said, look, that's okay, but just find your way back to us.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I get it, like, but like you said, that's really grown up, because she easily could have gotten into her pregnant emotional self and be like, well, you need. She didn't do any of that. She didn't tell him what he needed to do. Love is freedom, and she gave him the freedom to do as you need to, and if it comes back, it's yours. And
she literally, all she needed him to know was, I love you, and come back. Come back, period.
Oh, yeah.
Which is so crazy to me, because with her saying that, we would have never thought that she would have ended up in the situation that she was in toward the end of the episode. So it's just like, why are they playing with my emotions like this?
This whole season finale, they did that. Like, my anxiety was through the roof. Like, when Noah had the baby or was trying to go get the baby, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, is the master gonna wake up and they're gonna fight, and he got this baby in his hands? Like, they kept raising, like, it kept going. And then when we get to you know, everyone's going. I didn't know they were going to go to 3 different plantations. Like, I thought we were just saving Daniel's family. Like, how did we end up at 3 plantations? And there was just, like, a lot happening, but I really, really appreciated, you know, it reminded me a little bit of Birth of a Nation. And I know that there were small revolts that were happening all over the country, but it's just one of those things where it's like, that is what started it off. Like, those things is what led up to the Civil War. It wasn't just like the Civil War, hey, it just happened, you know?
Right.
It took a lot of sacrifice and a lot of blood, and like Noah said, that doesn't mean it has to be our blood.
And even when he told Liz, like, we saw Liz get really hot-headed, right?
Yeah.
She was ready to blow everything up. But Noah told her, you're going to get your moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's in ever since... Okay.
Let's keep it real.
I'm just guys, I know that I'm about to say something that I'm not usually on Team Kato, but the best thing that came out of Kato this season is him and Noah's interaction when they had the talk. Because ever since they had that conversation, Noah's life and everything that he said has been about choices.
Yes.
Like, that's been a reoccurring theme since he ran into Kato, and that's the best thing that's happened to him. Because now when he's talking and when he's acting and when he's thinking, he's really conscious of the choices that he makes.
Right.
When Liz was ready to blow everybody up, he was like, "You're gonna get your moment.
Chill out for a second.
You're gonna get your moment to shoot everybody up," and she did. When he was guiding the slaves that they said that they saved, he was like, it don't have to be our blood. Like, he's finally thinking and being really sure of his emotions and really trying to make sure that the legacy that he leaves behind for the sake of his kid or for the sake of his family is just one that he can be proud of.
For sure.
And that's like, that was really, really, when that hit me, I was just like, oh, okay, Noah, your faith is building. You being more, I mean, get a little bit more there with Jesus, and that's it.
Well, Harriet,
that was my panties.
Harriet put that seed in there too. That moment with Harriet was really awesome about his faith, and that's the thing that, like, Elizabeth too, like you said about her moment, like, she's been so hungry for vengeance. John's death was really, really hard on her, and she just, I think, like we've talked about recurring on this show, is that this is what grief looks like for her. And until she gets some sort of vengeance, I don't think she can really move on. And I feel like her killing that slave owner was her vengeance, and that was her moment. And we see, 10 months later, she finally gets to move on. But that will we discuss later. But Patty arrives at George's house, ready to get Rose. She needs the black rose. Everybody come on out. Let's get this done. George is ready to shoot off too. Rosalie's trying to go through the tunnels. I can't see anything. Like, I don't know about y'all and y'all TV screens, but
I don't think that you realized that the screen purposely went black.
Dark. I didn't. I was just like,
and I was trying to tell you to leave me alone because I'm trying to focus. So
I was like, what's going on? I can't see nothing.
We're watching the show, and Rosalie is at this point where her and James are trying to get away.
Right.
And you guys know, because you watched, the screen went black.
Right.
And it was this very powerful moment when Rosalie just shot. Bah, bah, and we saw this fire and we saw her shadow, and I'm in the moment. I told you how I was staring at the screen. However, Franceli, she doesn't know that the screen is black. Like, I realized that nothing was showing. She was like, I can't see. What's happening? And I was just like
just chill, Sally.
Can you leave me alone? I'm focused here. I'm trying to focus.
That was epic.
That first gunshot was so powerful because we went from not being able to see, and we felt the impact of it.
Oh my God.
Out of nowhere, we see, like, the setup of it. Like, she was just like, be quiet. You was like, what is she doing? What are they doing? Like, she was talking through the whole show, guys. Like, I just want y'all to know that.
I'm that person, just FYI.
And then it got us to a moment of calm and quiet, and out of nowhere, it was just
boom.
Wow, that's best scene. That was directed so perfectly.
Come on, shiny boots.
So good.
Yes.
So good. Wow.
But then Kato comes through and she sees him for a second, and I swear it was like she saw a ghost. It was like like I felt it in my stomach. I was like, oh yeah, that's
because she did
Kato.
the double take. She was like, wait a minute. But here's what tripped me out when she saw him. It kind of pissed me off because Kato was there earlier during the week at the house. And I know that she had just came back from a bad beating and she was out of it. She was in the bed. Her and Noah were going through their things. But the fact that he was there and no one knew, like Noah nor Rosalie knew that he was there, they could have called him out.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I just hate that he went to this secret place, Georgia's home. And he kind of
went through all the tunnels.
Yeah, I hate that he had. I hate that. I really do.
But they had to set it up. And they did, and they set it up so well. But see, I predicted it last week that Rosalie was finna have this baby in the middle of all of this. When she starts crowning and she's asking James questions about what he's learned from her mother giving birth, and he's like, I don't know any of that. I was like, oh Lord, this woman.
You were going through like pains. You were like, and I was just like, I was in such amazement because while you were going through the pain, I realized that, she's not the first person to have to deliver a baby in this circumstance.
For sure.
So her strength, like it was no doubt in her mind that the baby was being born. It was like, I don't care what needs to happen. I just need a hot towel. Like, it was. Wow.
Shout outs to Bex G. Thanks for holding me down, girl. Yeah, her mama be hushing her through the episode. I mean, it was a lot. Like, she's giving birth, and shout outs to James for being the good assistant, getting the hot towels and helping his big sister deliver this baby.
He was so calm. He was so focused.
He's like, all right, what you need? What you need?
This is gonna shape who he. Like, he's gonna be so.
He's gonna be an amazing man.
He's
when he
already
grows
amazing.
Up.
He's already amazing, right? But the way that, like, I literally wrote down, like, For him to have helped give birth to his nephew, that's a story that's going to be a lifetime. Like imagine telling your kids, man, we were getting attacked and I had to help my sister birth my nephew. That is amazing. Like I don't have those kind of stories like that, you know.
Right.
I don't have that kind of depthness. Like,
right.
Because that called him to so many levels, and then to still fight off people he went to stab. I think that was the first time he probably stabbed someone.
Right, he stabbed that. I was like, when he stabbed the door, well, the hand on the door, I was like, we've come a long way from why did you come back?
Yeah.
You know, like, I was like, because that little boy I wanted to slap.
And he didn't even flinch.
He was just like, he took that knife and said, I was like, oh, yeah.
He realized what was more important in that situation, and it was his sister and it was his nephew. And that moment was just like, kudos to James. I wonder if the actors on Twitter, because you know he liked to live tweet when the show's happening.
That little boy be tweeting. That little boy be tweeting.
Listen, he did a phenomenal job tonight. Phenomenal.
Yes.
I apologize for
speaking ill of him
when he didn't want to leave the plantation, because, you know, he definitely redeemed himself this episode.
Yes. So at the end of the day, Rosalie, I believe, is the real MVP of this episode, if I have to pick an MVP of this episode, because she delivered her own darn baby. So that's how I feel about that.
I don't see. The thing is, like, Rosalie delivered this baby, and there's nothing compared to a woman giving birth, especially in these circumstances with the pain. She had no epidural.
She literally grabbed him out and then brought him up. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's amazing. But I don't know. I feel like it's tied, because I feel like so many people stepped up this episode.
Oh,
you know
for
what
sure.
I mean? Like Elizabeth,
Noah,
James, so many people stepped up, and I was really excited to see Georgia shooting some shots at some people.
Right.
It was just, wow. Like, this was a really good episode.
It was good. It was epic.
Wow.
It was so epic that, you know, Kato comes out while they're trying to get Rosalie, and he shows the letter to Patty, and he's like, look, you know, hey, we can get Harriet. She's here. The crazy thing about it is he really led her to the cabin we just saw Harriet in. So I'm just like, I kind of already knew she wasn't going to be there, because I'm like, wait, she just met with the Secret Six dude.
I wanted her to be there and just blow them up.
I was like, she already left, because they getting ready to do this whole battle over with John Brown. So she's not going to be there. That's automatically what I thought. But I did not expect for Kato to blow her brains out. That's not what I expected.
Can I just tell you guys that the writer has been calling out Patty since he's been introduced to her. He has been coming for her neck. He is the shadiest shadester of them all. Mm-hmm. Because at first, Patty was just gonna like shoot up the cabin. Yeah. And he was like, well, don't you want to see her? And she, like, every time he says something to her, she like stops in her tracks and really thinks about it. And I was like, yes, let him know. Like, I think the writer's like an MVP, not of this show or this episode, but in his own way, he's definitely the MVP. Because even after Patty got shot, he picked up his pen like, okay, keep talking, Kato. Like, you know, like finish writing his book. And I'm just like, dude, you're so unfazed by everything that's happening.
Well, I feel like he was, though. His initial reaction to Patty being shot in his face, like, he was terrified, but he realized, I think it really shows what journalism has been from the beginning. Like, journalists literally put themselves in harm's way. They're in the middle of the storm, in the middle of a war, to get the right story, to get the right picture. So it's like, all right, there's dead body right here, but this story got to be written. And to me, that was like, well, journalism at his finest. Like, that's what I thought.
Because it was low key, like, okay, Patty's dead. I'm not going to let my story be over. And then Carmen goes, I think the writer was an abolitionist. And we've seen him this season.
Talked about that before.
We've seen him help. Yeah. Like, he's been in Patty's way. When he helped Rosalie, remember he gave her water? Uh-huh. He low-key kind of saved her to get to where she is. So we know that he's always been on the right side. He really just want to tell his story.
Yeah, for sure.
He just want to write a good story and tell what's happening. And I think that it's people like him who give us the opportunity to watch shows like this. Yeah. People like him who documented, you know, live what was happening. People who were there.
If they didn't document it, then we wouldn't have anything in the history books. Because the reality is that that's the part of history that they wanted to hide. They don't want to talk about. They still don't want to teach all of it, because the things we've learned in this show, I didn't learn in school. So it's one of those things where it's like, thank God for these secret papers, for these writers, because if not, we wouldn't know these stories to this kind of depth. And it's one of those things Kato said, she believed in her own legend to the point that she thought she was invincible. And that is the thing, like that, where your blind spots are, you know, pride before the fall.
So do we not think that Patty and Kato are alike? Like,
oh, for sure.
Kato, I feel like Kato thinks that he's invincible too. So the fact that he said that, I was just like, womp, womp, womp. Like, I just heard a lot of BS. And I was just like, Kato.
Well, this is the thing. People are our mirrors.
Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine tells me that all the time. And you kind of attract who you are. And so it's like, Kato keeps attracting himself to these kind of things. Like even Rosalie said it, I'm not surprised you became a slave catcher, because this is kind of who you are. And it's like, yeah, Patty's his mirror. So get ready for season 3, Kato, because Pride Before the Fall is coming for you real soon.
Man.
That's what I'm thinking. That's how I'm feeling.
Okay. And I just don't really like how the finale ended.
Really?
And I know I'm not the only one, because I felt like that moment with Noah and his baby, and him telling his baby that he's going to be free, that was so powerful.
Oh my God.
That touched I feel like all of us, right?
I almost died.
But for them to then jump to Elizabeth and her new boo, which feels like she was kind of like not really feeling him, like she was just playing. But anyway, for them to jump from that scene and then go into like 10 months later and not give us anything else except for
them,
Liz, I was just like, this doesn't leave me. I would have liked to walked off with, "You're gonna be free, son. You're free. You're free."
Well, this is the thing. I mean, they left 2 things that I was like, They left August and Ernestine kind of like in a weird place, because they had that scene where he has the gun to his head and he's contemplating suicide, and she's giving him her whole tale about her suicide attempt, and I don't know if I should save you, but let's stop feeding the darkest parts of ourselves. Like, they have that whole moment, but then it's over and then it's done, and then we skip to, you know, Noah finding the baby, and then 10 months later. So I'm just like, wait, what? It just left me really confused. But I will say this, I believe she's infiltrating, because from what it looked like, the man that Elizabeth is sleeping with works at the armory that is at Harper's Ferry, which is where they want to do the rebellion. And you see all these guns, and then, you know, Journey Smollett, she put hashtag Civil War. So we know Civil War is coming.
One thing I can say is that Liz looked really popping with that fresh morning face when she woke up that morning.
She was glowing, all right. She was glowing.
Oh, man, we have to come to an end.
We have to come to an end. The season finale. I do have one last question before we go, because Underground WGN posted on Twitter. They said, do you think Kato still has Rosalie and the others? Or do you think he set them free?
It depends on when we're talking. Like, right?
I mean, it's 10 months later.
Nah, they're gone. Like 10 months later, they're gone.
It looks like 10 months later is where season 3 is going to kick off.
They convinced him to join his side, is what I want to say. Can we just get into some quick predictions for season 3?
Quick predictions.
I think that would be a way for us to transition off. It's so sad.
I'm so sad.
I think that they're going to switch Kato to their side, especially 10 months later with them having this kind of defeat. So season 3 is going to take us backwards. Like this season, I feel like we went forward from Harriet and everything like that. I think season 3 is going to take us backwards, because we already jumped 10 months, and now it's going to tell us everything that's happened from when Noah had the baby and things like that. I just don't want to wait for that to happen. Like, I want it to happen next week.
I'm so sad.
What do you think is going to happen?
I believe, we're going to see what Kato's really doing with the Patty gang. 10 months later, I mean, the baby's going to be almost 1, probably crawling around the world somewhere. So, I mean, we're definitely going to see where everyone is. I'm interested to see where Ernestine and August are. I mean, there's just so many questions. I'm just ready. Can season 3 be here already?
Right.
Well, guys, this is it. I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with us every week for season 2 of Underground. It's been powerful. It's been riveting. It's been life-changing. I've learned so much. I've had such a pleasure. I really, really love you guys.
I kind of still want to talk about the show tonight, but we're out of time.
We're out of time. Tell everyone where they can follow your journey.
Oh, you can follow me on all social platforms. Why am I getting emotional?
Girl, oh my God.
You can follow me on all social platforms at hey_it's_lay.
Oh my God, she ain't joking, guys. She's really like tearing up.
I mean, this was just...
this show will do that to you.
I'll see you guys.
You guys, I love you guys. Make sure you hang out with me at all things at Selly Hangout. Let's keep the conversation going, since we can't talk about it right here live on the air, but tweet us at Sully Hangout, and let's keep talking online. I love you guys. Take care. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.